Harishinivasa Bhata,
Yes, what is it?
uh, there should be a test to test our knowledge of the previous lecture
We are thinking of
to
keeping
assess
that
how
at
much
the
we have
end
learned.
actually.
Okay, okay, thank you. It would be better if we would be able to evaluate our knowledge. But okay,
Yes, we will consider this sometime soon. Probably after the next few sessions, we'll do it.
thank you.
So if there are no queries by anyone, then I guess we can move ahead. So, so could anyone here explain their understanding of the concept of swabhava, which we discussed in the last session? Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Swabhava is basically the eternal inherent nature of the soul.
Yes, so that's the set of qualities which determine the nature of that particular entity and how it is.
Yes, and it shapes the will of the soul.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, and hence Bhagwan does not change it because changing it is equivalent of killing the soul because you're completely changing his will and nature.
Yes, that is the right understanding. So, does anyone have any queries here till now? So far, whatever has been done. So, if there are no queries, we shall continue our discussion about Swabhava now in after a period of 1 minute. Okay, so we shall continue our discussion now. So someone has asked a query on YouTube that if the Swabhava is unchangeable, then what is the purpose of educating them, or what is the purpose of the Vedas? So basically, the fact is that Swabhava is like the genetics of a seed. A particular seed, like a mango seed, will give rise to a mango sapling, and which will subsequently turn into a mango tree. A banyan seed will give rise to a banyan tree, and that will sooner or later it will grow into a banyan tree, but it cannot give rise to a mango tree. So same is the case here. But if you don't give any nourishment or nutrition or water or any fertilizers to it, the seed will never germinate. So same is the case with Swabhava. So usually Swabhava is dormant. It is initially dormant, but later with time it gets exposed. As the person gets exposed to different kind of situations, and the person has all sorts of opportunities, what the person truly desires from their heart, that is what comes out finally, and their natural preference or their natural likings, that's what determines Swabhava. So this is the concept of Swabhava. Any questions still here? So moving on, the fact is that the Swabhava is like the very nature of a person, and it's like what defines them. It's not something that can be changed or can be modified, because just as sweetness and sugar are both the same thing, so sweetness is what defines the sugar. So similarly, Swabhava is what defines that person or that soul. So that's why the very nature of that person is their Swabhava, and it's like that person themselves. So similarly, we have a similar case with Bhagwan and his gunas also, and his qualities such as Ananda, Jnana, and Ananta, infiniteness. So these are the qualities of Bhagwan, which are also non-distinct from himself. So similarly is the case with all the jivas, because all the gunas which other entities derive are derived from Paramatma only, because the all other entities exist due to Paramatma, and due to him they obtain similar qualities. So this is why we have something called Bimba Pratibimba. So basically, Bimba means an object which is reflected, and Pratibimba means a reflection. So the jivas and anything else, even jada for that matter, are said to be the Pratibimbas of Bhagwan. They are said to be Pratibimbas or reflections. So one may think, doesn't that mean the person is one and the same as Bhagwan? But that is not the case. The reflection is an image. It is not a physical object, nor does it exist independently without the reflecting surface or the object that is being reflected. It is just an image of that object. So similarly here too, because of similar qualities existing in the living entities, we are said to be the Pratibimba or reflection of Bhagwan. Now this doesn't mean that the jivas themselves are Bhagwan, because once again, the jivas have a fraction of the qualities which Bhagwan has. So the what we experience like Ananda, or what we obtain like Jnana, knowledge, so all these, they are just a fraction of what Bhagwan has. So he has all the qualities in infinite amounts. So that is why he is said to be Purna, while we are Asampurna. He alone is Sampurna, or he is fully complete in himself with all the qualities. So the very definition of Bhagwan, actually, for the commonly used words for the Supreme Being are Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So there is one shloka in the initial, the first skanda of the Bhagavata Purana, in the initial adhyayas, there is one shloka which has been quoted by Madhvacharya too in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, which goes as Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti viduhu. So the meaning of that shloka is that Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. So this entity, the supreme entity, is called so by the knowledgeable people. So these words are used in relation to him because of certain reasons why these terms are applicable to him. So actually in the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha, 5th Adhyaya, towards the 70th shloka, one can come across one shloka saying that he is Ashabda Gochara. Ashabda Gochara means he is indescribable by any words. Ashabda Gochara, not even a single sound or a word is capable of describing him. But still, for our convenience sake, we use these terms. So there in that chapter, there is actually there are elaborate shlokas explaining why he is known as Bhagwan. So he is said to be Ashabda Gochara because the terms which we can use or the way we comprehend them or anything comprehensible with our limited capacity is not Bhagwan, because he cannot be comprehended even by the highest Devatas themselves, because he is infinite. Even the Devatas are finite beings, though from our scale they may seem infinite. So here, similarly, but nonetheless, we can use these terms to refer to him, because for our convenience to have some partial understanding about him in accordance with our capacity, we use these terms, and we have been given this knowledge by the Devatas and the Rishis. So we will. So that is why we use these terms, and similarly, we have Vishnu Sahasranama and other parts of the Shastras which describe so many names of Bhagwan. So there we again we come to know about different qualities of his and why he is called by those names. What is the query? Please go ahead.
So Pranadeva can comprehend Bhagwan fully or not?
Definitely not completely. Even Lakshmi Devi is incapable of doing that.
Yes, but it is among jivas, it is to the fullest extent possible.
No, none of the jivas can do it in the fullest extent, because the jivas
No, no.
themselves are
For the
finite.
for the jivas, I am speaking to fullest extent possible for the jivas.
Could you elaborate what exactly is your query?
Wait a minute.
Yes, please let us know your query.
Hare Srinivasa.
Hare Srinivasa.
So if Bhagwan cannot be described through words, then how can it be said that each and every syllable and sound describes his gunas?
So basically, that means that in ultimately they refer to him. They somehow indirectly or directly can be used to denote his qualities. But again, none of the sounds or words which are comprehensible to us can be used to describe him perfectly. That's what the Tatparya of that shloka is. Because ultimately we do have so many reasons and methods through which we can describe Bhagwan. So like from the Shastras we know why he is called by certain names like Hari, Achyuta, Narayana, Govinda, Hrishikesha. So similarly we can apply those things to even all the other sounds and all the words which exist in the universe, but ultimately none of them are actually capable of describing him perfectly, because he is again infinite and he has infinite qualities, and even each quality of his is infinite. So even Lakshmi Devi keeps counting his qualities and she cannot reach the end of it because there is no end, and he is infinite. So there is obviously no ending to that at all. So obviously it's not possible to complete something which itself is has no end at all, or any beginning also. Hope that makes it clear.
Okay, thank you.
Any further queries? So on YouTube we have received this query that if Swabhava can't be modified, then why do asuras don't asuras have any fault, and what is the fault of the jivas of tamasika Swabhava? So Swabhava is again the nature of that soul, but it is their fault only. it is the fault of the asuras, because of their tamasika swabhava, they do such things. Swabhava is like their natural liking. They have a liking for adharma despite knowing what is dharma and what is adharma. So if one reads the Mahabharata and sees one part where Duryodhana explains why he is an adharmi, there he actually explains that he is well aware of what is dharma, what is adharma, and why adharma is harmful to others, and why his actions are causing harm to others, and he matched the description of an atatai as well. So such people, they are actually terrorists who deserve to be killed, and he was well aware that he was one such person, and he knew what he was doing was wrong, but still he nonetheless continued doing that because he said he had a natural liking for it. So for those who don't know, Duryodhana was actually the avatar of Kali Purusha, who is the worst among the Tamasika Jivas. So he had the maximum Tamasika qualities which anyone can come across till date. So because of that, he himself says, for that matter, that he liked adharma. So that natural tendency which anyone has, that is what determines their swabhava. And similarly, just as so swabhava is not something which compels one to do something, but it's rather what defines their personality. So because of that, the tamasika jivas are those who, despite coming to know about everything, finally, because of their nature, they just like to commit adharma. And similarly, the sattvikas are those who, by their nature, like to cause non-injury to other beings, and who like to be open-minded, who like to be spiritual, and who understand that they have a limited capacity, and they are nothing in comparison to Bhagavan, and are ready to practice bhakti and spirituality. Please go ahead with your query.
Harish Srinivas Bhrata.
Harish Srinivasa.
So I was asking that can swabhav of an individual soul change?
No, swabhava is the soul's nature, so it cannot change.
Then why are they born in earth like Tamsik Shivas, then Satvik, Rajasik?
They just exist. There is no reason why they exist here. They've already been here since eternity, and at one point they'll just go to the destiny which they belong to.
Okay, brother. So are they given the same opportunity like others?
Yes, definitely. All the jivas here get the same opportunities, but how they react is what determines their swabhava. So it's just like how when light is when light is shown on any gems or stones, each one reflects it differently. So same is the case with swabhava here.
Okay, brother. Thank you.
Any more queries? Please go ahead.
Yes, so Swabhava is basically the Jeev itself. It is indifferent from him because it is his will only. So he is still at fault because it is his will to do evil. So he's at fault. Tamsika
Yes,
Jivas.
definitely.
Yeah.
See,
Okay,
as we
did I
said,
understand correctly?
swabhava is that person's nature or the way they behave in certain situations, or the what they like. Given any chance to be either a dharmic person or adharmic person, some people will choose to be a dharmic person, some will choose to be an adharmi, and some will choose to be extremely materialistic people. So if one practically sees this in real life also, they can, if they observe anyone carefully for a long time, so that way it is possible to guess what one's swabhava is, though it cannot be guaranteed immediately, and in some cases it can be different than what thinks it is, but usually it is possible to know it from their qualities. So there's a query here that what about people like Vritrasura, Prahlada, though they were asuras, but they were Bhagavad Bhaktas. So as a matter of fact, certain asuras, their bodies were just those of asuras, but their soul was not asuric or tamasika. Prahlada, for that matter, was a devata from Satyaloka, and and all devatas are sattvic beings only. Same is the case with even Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and so many others, Shishupala, Dantavakra, Bali. Either they were sattvic jivas who were born as asuras just due to some curses or any issues, or they were asuras with the avesha of another soul. So we will discuss about the concept of avesha later on, but for now understand that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, for that matter, had the aveshas of different jivas. Avesha is the presence of a second soul, or a second or third atma, extra jivas being present in their heart as an additional atma. So here too, in their case, again, there was an avesha of Jaya and Vijaya respectively in them. That's why they, at one point they were Adharmis, but at some points they used to think of Bhagwan with bhakti also. So finally it was Jaya and Vijaya who obtained moksha, but the asuras Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they did not obtain moksha. They actually went to Nitya Naraka. So this has been quoted from the Brahma Purana by Sri Madhvacharya in one of his granthas, probably the Bhagavata Tatparya Nirnaya. But anyway, we shall discuss about the concept of Avesha and everything else in the subsequent sessions sometime. Because right now if we discuss it, it may confuse many of them here. So any other queries till now? So if there are no more queries, then we shall continue in a while. So how does a jiva manifest his swarupa swabhava in samsara avastha, where our linga sharira has covers of three modes of material nature? Okay, so basically, again, like we said earlier, as and when there are two influences at any point of time on a jiva. So the one is swabhava, or the nature of that soul, which comes internally from that person, and the second one is prabhava, or the influence of the external environment and what others around that person influence him or her to do. So prabhava is temporary, but given the chance, again, as we said already, if one observes anyone closely for a long time, maybe for years together, and sees their behavior in all sorts of situations after they gain enough exposure, and at that time one can see what they truly want. For example, it is some people have this notion that a corrupt person becomes corrupt due to the opportunities they get. For example, if they're given power and positions, then they will get the opportunities to misuse it and become corrupt. That's why they become corrupt. But that is partially prabhava. But more than that, there will be many others who will be given the same opportunities, but they won't become corrupt at any cost. They will never misuse what power they get. So that is what is swabhava. So how they behave in any given situation, and that too truly from their heart, not based on external influence. And when all this external influence is removed, so now as asked in this query, the influence of the trigunas of prakriti will always be there. The prabhava of sattva, rajas and tamas will always be there, but it will reduce over time if one's svabhava manifests. So they will start having a tendency towards the prabhava which suits their svabhava at one point after repeated exposure to all sorts of situations. Does that make it clear? No, so the query is, but how is it possible in samsara avastha? We are covered, right? We manifest only prabhava due to linga sharira. Question is, swabhava manifests only in mukta avastha? True. No. Swabhava is always there. It is like the root of how one behaves and what one's tendencies are. So it's not true that swabhava is completely covered or is dormant, because the one obtains moksha when one is revealed to have a satvika swabhava and obtains aparoksha jnana. That is only when one obtains moksha. So and similarly one attains andhantamas if they are revealed to be of tamasika swabhava, and that swabhava manifests properly and they start behaving completely in accordance to their swabhava. So basically swabhava's influence is always there. In fact, in the Bhagavata Purana, in the 6th skanda, in the initial adhyayas which talk about Ajamila's case, there is one shloka which says nahi kashit karmakrit shanaihi swabhavikai gunai, which means that there is no instance where one can be inactive without performing any actions. One always keeps performing actions based on their swabhavika gunas or their natural qualities. So basically, what comes truly from one's heart, when again, as we said already, in an when they're idle and they are in a situation where they're given all sorts of opportunities or given the chance to do whatever they like, that natural liking which they have is what determines their swabhava. And yes, studies have shown that twins with the same prabhava turn out to be different. Yes, this definitely proves swabhavika influence, but not just this, we have multiple other cases. In fact, as per recent psychological studies, actually, if one studies psychiatry or psychology, they'll one will find out that actually there is still a mystery over what determines one's nature, because all of us are different. As That's why, as said in the previous session by Sri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu, that Sri Madhvacharya, for namesake, simply gave this philosophy which has always been in existence and which is most practically applicable. There is no need to brand this as Tattvavaada or specifically as Madhva Siddhanta, because one can see this being applicable perfectly in real life, and which perfectly explains all these issues. So anyway, there is actually no known specific cause which determines one's nature or how one's personality is defined. Psychiatry still considers this as a mystery, but here in our shastras this has been answered long ago. So and Madhvacharya has elaborately explained this once again when the knowledge of this became less prominent. So basically, not just studies done on twins, but random studies done on random parameters. Like, for example, whether one is born as an extrovert or an introvert. There are multiple studies about this done on babies, and there too one can find out that even a small baby which is just a few months old has a different nature. Its personality differs and is somewhat predetermined. Their basic nature of how they behave and how they would behave as adults can also be estimated. It can be guessed easily based on these parameters. So this is the same case with swabhava. Yes, swabhava is always active and prabhava has some effects in samsara avastha. But again, swabhava will not be fully active all the time. It depends on that jiva, how much of the influence of its swabhava has manifested. So that is what it depends on. For example, it is possible that one swabhava is different but is dormant, like a seed. Again, this is why we use the analogy of a seed. So if you if you plant a coffee seed in a place with humid weather and where the weather is generally very warm, it will not germinate. But it doesn't mean that you can expect the coffee seed to give rise to a mango tree or a banyan tree. It won't. It will only give rise to a coffee plant given the chance. So at some point, there may be a slight influence of external factors, but again, if you put it back into the perfect environment where it belongs and where the temperature is perfect for a coffee plant, there it will immediately germinate and give rise to a coffee plant. So this is the same case. Same is the case with other seeds also. So this is why swabhava is the natural liking of a person and what that person prefers or what that person truly wants, given they're given the chance to do anything. If they're given the chance to pursue spirituality, you can see that many people will initially become spiritual and then they may leave it. Some people who are extreme adharmis have suddenly changed after coming to the path of spirituality. Even in the West, we can see that many people who, especially due to ISKCON's influence in the European countries and in America, so many foreigners have become Hindus, especially due to the influence. But again, not all of them followed it seriously. There were many deviants also, even in organizations like ISKCON. So similarly, same is the case with any sampradaya also, for that matter. Even among Madhvas, Sri Vaishnavas, be it anyone, be it Smartas, Shaivas, you'll find all sorts of people. So that is what Swabhava is. That person, every person is different from another person. That is what we call as Jiva Jiva Bheda, the difference between one soul and another soul. So depending on what their likings are, we human beings have this opportunity. So So we human beings, especially due to our evolved intellect, we have the opportunity to understand our swabhava, and we have the opportunity due to our intellectual capacity. We have been given this chance where our swabhava will manifest over time by itself, soon enough as we gain exposure to all sorts of situations. But again, in most cases, it is not possible to easily guarantee anybody's swabhava. So there is a query: how can the swabhava of the soul properly be influenced by the gunas which are material? So again, the prakritika gunas, which so the gunas in the material world, such as sattva guna, rajoguna, tamoguna, these are not the same gunas which determine swabhava. The gunas which determine swabhava are again sattva, rajas, and tamas, but this is not the prakritika sattva, rajas, and tamas. This is something. This is entirely intrinsic to the soul itself. The prakritika sattva, rajas, and tamas is prabhava. That is the influence of prabhava, and that can vary. It depends on the environment of that person and the people who influence that person. So any more queries still here? Brahma Sutras do not elaborately speak about this in any of the Adhikaranas as far as I remember, but there may be sections in the Brahma Sutra which do talk about it. But again, the Brahma Sutras are susceptible to interpretations. So again, if you read the bhashyas of different acharyas, you will find varying interpretations. So the Brahma Sutras as such do not explicitly talk about these topics specifically. But yes, there are sections which deal with the gunas of Brahman and the different features about him. The first adhyaya is about Brahman in general, and it goes about the adhikara of the shastras and how one can learn the shastras, and why how he is described in the shastras and the Vedas. And then the second adhyaya is more to do with the initial two padas of the second adhyaya are more to do with refutations of the rival darshanas of Vedanta. Then comes the other miscellaneous topics about the different souls and the different influences of Prakriti. So there partially it is hinted, but there is no elaborate discussion about this in most of the bhashyas I'm aware of. At least Madhvacharya's bhashya also does not discuss this very much in detail, though Sri Madhvacharya discusses this in his other works such as the Mahabharata Tatparya. Especially in the Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya, you can find a lot of information on this. Though we do not recommend reading that for absolute beginners, because for that, again, one needs basic knowledge of Tattvavaada, especially the concepts of Avesha and different things like Brahman's gunas, and they'll need at least basic knowledge of Vaishnava Dharma. Any more queries? Yes, definitely. That's the reason why he was known to be a Brahmana by his Swabhava. Though he was by his Aupadika Varna, he was not a Brahmana at all. But still, that's how it was determined. And Gautama Maharshi was an Aparoksha Jnani, so he knew for certain, and especially from his intense display of honesty, he knew that he was a Swabhavika Brahmana. See, Varna Vyavastha runs by Aupadika Varna because usually in most cases we do not know what our Swabhava is. That's why. And also because most of the samskaras are transferred by ancestry. But other than that, there is no other reason why, when one Swabhava is known, there is no reason to simply follow Aupadika Varna if it is not suitable to that person. Even the 7th Skanda, 11th Adhyaya of the Bhagavata Purana says the same thing, that when one follows a Varna suitable to their Swabhavika Gunas, only then they will actually be perfectly on the path of performing sadhana to attain moksha. Not just rishis as such, aparokshajnanis can know easily, and even human beings can also tell to some extent, especially if they are experienced enough. And again, as said already, one has to closely, carefully observe that person in all sorts of situations, and also should know that person for a long time, for a suitable period of time. Only then they can tell their swabhava. But again, for ordinary humans, it's comparatively much more difficult to know anyone's swabhava. So, any more queries so far? So, we have received a query. Would you recommend any Kannada books on Mahabharata Tatparya Nirnaya? There is one excellent translation of it by Sri Vyasanakere Prabhanjanacharya. So, one can refer to that if they want. And there are translations also available at many Madhva Matas. But again, the one by Sri Vyasanakere Prabhanjanacharya is the best in Kannada. And as for the English translations, there is no there is no perfect translation as such, so we wouldn't recommend most of them. And knowledge of Samskrita is always recommended before studying any of the Shastras, and especially these granthas which do not have a very good English translation either. Okay, so what samskaras such as Veda Ucharana come from ancestry? It's not the pronunciation of the Vedas, it is the Upadesha of the Gayatri Mantra and other similar rituals which are supposed to be done by one's father. Actually, that is why, as discussed in one of the initial sessions, everyone belonged to the Varna called Hamsa or Brahmana in Satyayuga, because all of them descended from the rishis, and at that time everyone was a Brahmana. But at one point of time, due to when Treta Yuga began, when Satyayuga ended and Treta Yuga was about to begin, because people of other swabhavas also had to manifest here and perform their sadhanas, some of the Brahmanas, they became Kshatriyas due to the influence of Rajoguna. Then some of them became Vaishyas due to going to agriculture and other occupations, and some of them who abandoned their rituals and their regular duties completely became Shudras. Due to becoming Vratyas, they became equivalent to Shudras, and because of that, their descendants lost the continuous flow of the Upadesha of the Gayatri Mantra and all these samskaras, the rituals which were necessary for Veda Adhyayana. Also, it is not that they cannot master the pronunciation, but because mastering pronunciations is mandatory for learning any Shastras, even the Itihasas or Puranas for that matter. Now, the reason why Veda Adhyayana is not suitable for everyone is because, again, those who are of the Swabhava of a Shudra will not be able to handle all those, and that will not be not be suitable for their Swabhava. So, and also for their occupation. So that's why we generally that's why generally for the shudras and others, it is advised that they can still attain aparoksha jnana from the other shastras, but learning the Vedas will be complex and won't be suitable to their swabhava nor their aupadhika varna, especially when learning the Vedas has all sorts of strict rules and regulations. So Shri Vishwadiraja Tirtharu has arrived now. Over to you, Guruji. Hare Rama, Guruji.
Hare Rama. What was the discussion about?
The discussion was about Swabhavika Varna and Aupadhika Varna, Guruji. So some of them were asking queries as to why Aupadhika Varna depends on ancestry.
Mm-hmm. So they got their answers?
I think so. They haven't said anything as such right now.
Okay. यो विप्रलम्ब विपरीतमति प्रभूतान् वादान् निरस्य कृतवान् भुवि तत्त्ववादम् सर्वेश्वरो हरिरिति प्रतिपादयन्तम् आनन्दतीर्थमुनिवर्यम् अहं नमामि. I'm audible, right, Prajna?
Yes, Guruji.
Okay. Varna ashrama. The purpose of Varna and ashrama is to be a functional part of a society which is functional in the program of God. There was some question, right? I think just flashed and went. In call messages. Can't other Aupadhika Varnas learn the Upadesha of Gayatri Mantra, other rituals now if they have lost it? Who is asking this question? Vikas P. Okay. No, the question is, what is the point of doing anything, or even those rituals or mantras? What is the purpose of that? What's the purpose of Varna Dharma? What is the purpose of following that? Anyone wants to suggest? This is a profound subject matter. It is especially of importance and especially delicate. It is delicate, I would say, because of the paradigm in which we are all surviving, we are all living today. So unless we need to take special care to be able to understand this properly. Sadhana Varna Dharma based on, no, you can unmute your mics and please try to talk. Let's keep it conversational as far as possible.
Pranamam Acharya, am I audible?
Yes, this is
Okay,
Sri Charan.
have some problem with my device. Okay, anyway, I can talk. So
You
like
are audible.
Previously it was explained that the Varanashrama Dharma, which is designed for the society. So if these souls who are having that respective swabhava, which is not based on Upadhika, and if they take their respective Varana Dharma, then only their sadhana has a meaning according to Bhagavan. So, like for example,
why the significance of Varna Dharma?
Sorry, Acharya, I didn't understand.
Why is Varna Dharma so significant?
Again, like they can perform their sadhana and bring out their inner swabhava.
They can spend one lifetime like a vacation, no?
Yes, Acharya, they can spend vacation. But if at all they want to manifest their fullest potential or
Yeah.
like,
So if they want to manifest their potential, they can do. Otherwise, they can take a vacation. They can go to Switzerland or Himalaya, and they can have a nice time. Be a guest here.
but that is their swabhava, like going to vacation without following dharma. So that is their
No
swabhava.
problem. No problem. Who wants the trouble of doing all the Varna Dharma? If it is not, if there is no strong reason to do that, my own sadhana, I can postpone it when I'm next. After 1,000 years, I can continue.
And simply my question is like that, like if I'm kshatriya by aupadika and I take the and I'm vaishya by swarupa, if I take the kshatriya dharma, will I be able to progress towards my swarupa or not, is the question. Am I audible, Acharya?
Now you're audible. All this time we did not hear. If you have
Okay,
said
okay.
something, kindly repeat.
I will repeat my question, Acharya. So like
Please,
my
please.
aupadika varna is kshatriya and
Mm,
my
mm,
swarupa varna is
mm,
vaishya, and I
mhm,
take the varna dharma of FA kshatriya. So
mm,
will this sadhana of kshatriya, I mean the varna dharma of kshatriya, will it be
mm.
helpful in my progress towards my swarupa, attaining my swarupa or moksha?
Huh. To answer this, to understand the answer to this question, there are a few prerequisites that you need to be aware of. Uh, Let us pay attention to more fundamental facts. If you are aware of those facts, then naturally you will understand the answers to your questions.
Yes, Acharya.
Now, for instance, Arjuna, he is suggesting to Krishna that you see, this looks like a very ghastly affair,
Yes, sir.
this war.
Yes.
So, it's much more conducive for me to maybe go to the forest and take sannyas and do some japa, tapa. I will do the most severest austerities if you want. I will. That is the mode of the question of Arjuna. Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana. Tat kim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasi vame. Tad ekam vada nishchitya yena shreyo apnayam. So he's saying, see, this is a ghastly thing to do. So why to entangle more into karma? So isn't doing severe in the forest. I will renounce everything, go to the forest, and I'll do tapas there. Won't that lead to upliftment?
I mean, like Bhagavan being, I mean, all knowing, he saw the Arjuna's Swarupa Swabhava and instructed him to do the Kshatriya Dharma. Hello. Am I audible, Acharya?
Tatvajnana, Tattvajnana of Tattvavaada. It can be attained only by a very intense spiritual exercise. Yes, please go ahead, answer. Please try to engage in this discussion, and please do not mind even if your answer is wrong.
Guruji, you were not audible for a while before you completed what you were saying.
No, I was just saying, please. please participate. Even if please do not mind. Even if you say something wrong, or please, it's not an issue, because these things are very new to the anybody who is
Guruji, your voice is breaking in between.
maybe something is wrong with the network here. Sometimes the network suddenly goes down.
Now you are audible, Guruji.
I was just saying, please feel free to participate. Don't mind, even if your answer is not accurate. Because this subject matter is a little difficult, in the sense that why it is difficult, not that it is difficult per se, but it becomes difficult because we have grown up in a different paradigm. And this comes from a paradigm which is much different from the paradigm that we have been groomed up in. We have been groomed up. Was that audible? Yeah. So I'm just saying, please feel free to try to answer. The question is clear, right? I have asked Arjuna also. He said that this is a very ghastly affair, this war. So I will do the most difficult kind of austerities. I don't have. Arjuna is saying, I prefer to, even rather than fighting this war, I would prefer that they will come and cut me into pieces. So he's kind of given up on that, and so he's willing to do more difficult austerities. He's willing to take up like sannyas and go to the forest maybe and live there with great austerities and perform khadak sadhana. So why can't that be a replacement? That is easy, no? It is what great sages and all have done. So why shouldn't Arjuna go and do that?
That is against his Kshatriya Dharma, Acharya, I think.
Why? But what is that? Is why I'm asking. What is the purpose of doing your Kshatriya Dharma or your Varna Dharma?
So like it is
The-
manifesting his swabhava to the fullest
So that
extent.
I can do. I can take a vacation, no, when I want.
I mean, in this case for Arjuna.
So same, no. Say he also, why he can't take vacation? He can say no. After 1,000 years, I will. He has accrued enough punya. And when they were in Vanavasa, uh, Kubera had invited them as a guest, and they were staying in the Himalayas. That Gandhamadana Parvata. There beyond that, there was a place where Kubera has offered them the best facilities to stay. And they could be his guest. He's no way going to tell them that you people can please go. He can be a guest there. He can live there aramse in the Himalayas, being guest of Kubera. He'll be well fed. He'll have the best kind of woman to be with if he wants, or he will have the best place to do tapasya also. So years, at least 100 years vacation I will take. By that time war and all will be over. After that I'll come and do what I'm supposed to do. What is wrong with that?
So he being king,
Acharya, the only reason that I can do.
uh,
Hmm?
it will be
Please.
avyavastha.
Why will it be avyavastha?
Because he being king, he is not protecting the citizens.
He is not king. Yudhishthira is king. Then
I
Bhimasena
mean,
is there.
like
Nakula,
he's
Sahadeva are there. People will be protected. If he goes, Krishna will take care of the people. No problem.
Acharya, but he's going against his Kshatriya Dharma. That's the only reason I can think of.
So what is the loss? Because anyway, that will be fulfilled by God in one way or the other. He is going against Kshatriya Dharma. So what?
He will
Well,
regress in sadhana. He will not progress. Uh,
I didn't hear that. What? Please come again.
he will go back in sadhana instead of progressing in it. If he doesn't follow his dharma.
So let us
Uh,
understand the basics of Varna Dharma. Our dharma, any
okay, okay.
activity that we are doing, not only Varna Dharma, there is something called Jagat Chakra that Krishna is describing. As a homework, please refer to Bhagavad Gita. Um, can somebody tell me the number of the verses? Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavah yajnad bhavati parjanyah yajnah karma samudbhavah. What is the number of these verses? It comes in the third chapter.
I will check it in a minute, Guruji.
Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavah yajnad bhavati parjanyah yajnah karma samudbhavah. These verses are prerequisite to understand the importance, the significance of dharma, varna dharma, jati dharma, or even ashrama dharma. See, there is ashrama dharma, varna dharma, and also there are all the small dharmas that we have to do. Everything is significant. The significance of all of these dharmas is understood in the context of this Jagat Chakra that Krishna is describing. Please understand, this is called Jagat Chakra. This Jagat Chakra is at the center of Krishna's reply to Arjuna as to why he has to fight. Am I audible?
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, sir.
If somebody doesn't understand this Jagat Chakra, then he can never understand the full answer why Krishna is requiring that Arjuna has to fight. Or for that matter, anyone has to do his dharma. Why is that compulsion? And that aspect of compulsion in dharma comes because of this aspect of being a participant in this Jagat Chakra. So this Jagat Chakra is at the center of the understanding of the Bhagavad Gita and the understanding of dharma even. The proper inspiration, the proper motivation to unfailingly perform one's dharma, the kind of commitment and the kind of resolve to perform one's swadharma comes from the understanding of how we are a participant in the Jagat Chakra that Krishna is describing. This Jagat Chakra is not something alien. You regularly see this Jagat Chakra. The chakra that is there in the middle of our national flag is actually this Jagat Chakra, because if somebody doesn't understand this Jagat Chakra, then he can never understand the significance of
You are not audible,
dharma.
Guruji.
Was I audible? Is that clear about the Jagat Chakra that I said?
You were not audible, Guruji. In between, after you mentioned about the chakra on the national flag, your voice broke.
Oh, the chakra on the national flag was taken from Ashoka, and Ashoka got it from Buddhism, from Buddha. And Buddha called it the Dharma Chakra. That Dharma Chakra is the Jagat Chakra that Krishna is describing in the Bhagavad Gita. So I would even I will draw the Jagat Chakra, including its various aspects, and we'll get into an explanation, because this Jagat Chakra is at the center of the understanding of what is Dharma. Is that clear?
Yes, Guru.
Okay. Tomorrow morning we are going to have a session. By tonight I will draw the Jagat Chakra plainly, but could you find the verse number, Prajna? Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. It's in the third
It was
chapter.
already shared by someone else in the chat, Guruji. It's the 14th shloka.
The 14th shloka, is it? Okay.
Yes, Guruji.
Annad bhavanti bhutani. You need not turn the microphone on, but wherever you are, whoever listening, please try to repeat. Annad bhavanti bhutani.
अन्नाद् भवन्ति भूतानि
Parjanyad anna sambhavah.
पर्जन्यात् अन्नसम्भवः
Yajnad bhavati parjanyah.
यज्ञात् भवति पर्जन्यः
Yajna karma samudbhavah.
यज्ञकर्मसमुद्भवः
Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi.
कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवद्विद्धिं
Vidhi. Brahma akshara samudbhavam.
ब्रह्म अक्षरसमुद्भवम्
Tasmat sarvagatam brahma.
तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
The last part was not audible, Guruji.
Nityam yajne pratishtitam.
नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितं
Pratishtitam.
प्रतिष्ठितं
Evam, see, you can see the cyclic nature of this description, no? Annad bhavanti bhutani. That anna is from Parjanya. And that Parjanya is of dharma that are done, Vada dharma and various dharmas. Those karmas constitute the yajna. And karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. And that brahma is akshar samudbhavam. So you are seeing a cyclic nature in the elements of this chakra. Are you able to see a cyclic nature in the elements of this chakra? Yes, please. Someone also say something. I'm asking, are you able to see the cyclic nature of the elements of this chakra in those? Okay, maybe some of them don't have the verses in front of them. That's okay. The last verse, Prajna, you could repeat. After these two verses, the next verse is Evam pravartitan chakram.
एवं प्रवर्तितं चक्रं
Nanuvartayati hayah.
नानुवर्तियति हयः
Aghayurindriya ramah.
अघायुरिन्द्रिय रामो
Mogham partha sajivati.
मोघं पार्थ स जीवति
This means Evam pravartitan chakram. The chakra which is turning like this with these elements. The chakra is turning like this. And this chakra that is turning is sustaining all life. And this is the core of how the world is sustained. Now, if you do not participate in this chakra, in the forward motion of this chakra, then your life is a waste. And you will accrue only sin even from eating. Eating means anything. Even if you eat vegetarian food also, you will accrue sin if you are not a participant in this chakra. Evam pravartitam chakram nanuvartayati hayah. If you do not take this forward, in the sense that whatever you owe that chakra, whatever you as a participant owe to that chakra, if you do not do that, then you will be a waste. Your life will be a waste. And with whatever you do, by eating, sleeping, seeing, anything that you touch, anything, it will only lead to sin. Anything that you do will become sinful. Whatever you do, even so-called pious things that you do also will be sin only. That's why he says aghayuhu. Aghayuhu means his ayu, his very life will become sinful. Not just that he will do some sins, not like that. Anything, even his breathing will be sin because he is eating as a waste. He do not have this commitment that what I am eating, I am consuming, and so many living entities are contributing to my existence. So my existence should be in such a way that I contribute to the sustenance of life. My part in it I should do. So this Jagat Chakra is conducted by Yajna. Yajna is the power, like the current of this. And God is the person who runs this chakra. So we have to contribute our yajna, our karma, which becomes a yajna. When when we perform that, God includes it in the Jagat Chakra, and that's how the Jagat Chakra spins. So annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavah yajnad bhavati parjanyah yajnah karma samudbhavah karma brahmodbhavam vidhi brahma akshara samudbhavam tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishthitam. Was I audible?
Yes, Guruji.
Thank you. Fine. So tomorrow as a homework, I will in some time now draw a rough sketch of how the elements are connected. Exactly. Who asked this question again? Now most of the occupations. Rishit. Yes, Rishit. Yes, that is what. See, now we will come to the current situation, and once you understand this chakra, there are a hell lot of things that you can evaluate based on that parameter. We will evaluate what is happening today. We can be evaluating what is the value of anything that we ever do. This chakra is the core of the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. It will help you to evaluate what is significant and what is not. It will make you literate. It will make you literate in terms of adhyatma, in terms of dharma. You will become a literate dharmika. Without this knowledge, we are illiterate because we don't have the basis of evaluating the intrinsic value of any activity without this privilege of understanding this chakra and understanding our commitment to this chakra. Yes, for now, we will take this up in the morning class. For now, I want you all to just look into those two shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita and try to see, maybe from translations. Now, you try to figure out what those shlokas are saying. We will take it up tomorrow morning and we will have a discussion and we will try to understand what this Jagat Chakra is. But it is at the center of the wisdom of the entire gamut of Dharma. Okay, let me conclude today. Anything else? This we will get to tomorrow. I'm just, as a homework, I'm just saying that please refer to these shlokas. That is 14, but that is third chapter, 14th shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Third chapter, 14th shloka. 15 and 16. Third chapter, 14, 15, 16. 3 shlokas.
Guruji, just one correction here. Tomorrow the class will be in the evening. So as we had said earlier, since tomorrow in the morning none of us will be available.
So we will connect in the evening. So that much time is there to be able to refer to these verses in the Bhagavad Gita and get back to the class. In the meantime, I will schematically represent the Jagat Chakra in a drawing and post it. Where should I post it? I'll send it to you, Prajna. Can you post it on the Telegram
Yes, Guruji.
app where everybody is connected? Okay. Fine. So I'll log out. Thank you for participating, and all of you for participating in this yajna in this jnana yajna. Hare Rama. Shri Krishna.
Hare Rama, Guruji.
Hare Rama.